Welcome to episode 218 of the Muck Podcast. Listen in as we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics. I'm Tina.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
Hillary, hi. We had some news.
What?
From, April 1st. April Fools.
Oh, yeah, I've got that.
Oh
my God. I thought something was happening.
No.
Did Ryan Gosling call?
No.
Fuck. Damn it.
Oh, but he's in something new where he looks hot.
Yeah. Fall Guy.
Yes.
I've seen this trailer now for at least a year.
Okay.
And they finally cut one. It looked terrible. And then
I just saw a good one.
Yeah, they cut this new trailer, and I'm like, now we got it. Now I want to see it.
So this is the only trailer I've seen.
Good, because the other one was not good. It was all over the place.
I
made
almost
no
sent
sense.
it to you, but I was like, this girl's seen this already.
Yeah. And actually, my son and I were talking in the car last night.
But he looks good. He's like a little grizzled.
It's definitely after Ken, because he's still got that blonde in his hair. Mm-hmm. He's bronze, you know. But please, and we've said this about Ryan Gosling before. No more plastic surgery, please. His eyes are getting thinner and thinner. No. They're really thin. No. I don't know what you're doing. Just stop it. Stop.
We don't need this in our culture.
But anymore. Yeah, he looks really hot. And actually, I was just telling you, I talked to our executive producer Alfredo Olvera yesterday.
Our EP.
And his birthday's coming up. His 50th birthday, golden birthday. And
Is that what they call it? The golden birthday?
It's a golden anniversary, isn't it?
So it's a golden birthday.
Let's do it. So I told him, I said, I know I'm gonna get you for your birthday, and he said. Before I made a jokey birthday joke, he said, "Oh, you can go to Hollywood and get Ryan Gosling for me?" And I was like, "For you, bitch, that's for me first, and then you can take a crack at him after that. If I'm kidnapping Ryan Gosling, I'm going to have a crack at that first. I mean, but yes, we did have huge news. Florida Supreme Court, they approved. So it's actually going to be 6 amendments, but they approved the right to abortion to be on the ballot. Up to 22 weeks of viability. And that's amazing because we know that will pass. And they also approved marijuana, recreational marijuana for 21 or older.
Yep, and DeSantis has already come out to say that both of those amendments are way too radical for the free state of Florida.
Yeah, but that's bullshit because it'll pass. Especially because he signed such a deeply, deeply unpopular 6-week abortion ban that the Supreme Court also, the other decision we were waiting for was they upheld this right to privacy, that there's no right to privacy when it comes to your body, ladies. No.
I mean,
no.
And the fact that people don't understand biology to know that when a woman is 6 weeks pregnant, it's like they're really not 6 weeks pregnant because it's just from the date of your last period, okay?
Yeah.
So most women, and we've said this a million times, are completely unaware that they're pregnant, especially if there's someone who's not trying to be pregnant. You know what I mean? If someone is like, trying, they might be checking and, being excited and anticipating that. But otherwise, women aren't looking for that. And the other thing that is becoming more and more frightening is that they're not going to stop at abortion. They're already using language to come after birth control in other states. And we see these other radical Republicans making statements that are completely false, that are not based on science. Things like, if you take the pill, it causes spontaneous abortions, like things that are just not true. Like seeing that and then seeing, what the Taliban recently, 2 days ago, said that they're going to start stoning women again for adultery. Okay, so in Afghanistan, you have women who are completely afraid to leave their house and they feel completely abandoned by the entire world. And, here we are in the US and it's always about inching, creeping closer and closer to this full control of women. And we see what happens when countries want to have full control of women. They can't do anything. They don't have education. These girls are not allowed in school. And like the world is sitting by. And then we're letting people in our own goddamn country start saying this shit. It's like, wake the fuck up already. Anyway.
I want to go back to, excellent. Absolutely. I want to go back to the first part of what you were saying with the 6 weeks. So I think that most men, especially if they're lawmakers, tune out. You say period, they're like, ugh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because they're, I mean, because
when
they're
you
so
hear it, right?
immature.
And so they don't understand. Like Anna Escamani
Women
always
can't
says
sweat.
that.
They can't bleed. They can't, you know what I mean? It's like, it's God damn it.
Yeah. But Rep. Anna Escamani had said that a couple of times. Like, you would be shocked. She said it on her podcast. You would be shocked to hear how little they actually know about reproduction and what happens. So a crash course is, everyone knows a woman gets her period every month. That's 4 weeks. So by the time she misses that period, she's already 4 weeks pregnant.
Right.
And then when she realizes, oh, on the calendar, wait a minute, when was the last time I had my period? Because believe it or not, we're not all waiting by the clock, and every time we go to the bathroom going, oh, didn't get my period today, must be the next day. We're not doing that. We get it, we go, oh, time for my period.
Yeah.
I do mark on the calendar, and so you know when the last time you had it. So when you finally realize...
Some women are irregular.
Yeah,
there's all these different things.
When you finally realize that you don't have it, it could be 5 weeks. Now you've got a week. When you find out you're pregnant, now you have a week in the state of Florida to figure out what you're going to do. And here in Florida, there's a mandatory 24-hour waiting period. So you have to go to a doctor and say, I'm pregnant. They have to force you to look at a sonogram. You have to force you to look at the clump of cells floating around in your body, which, by the way, is not viable to live outside the womb. No. And it's not a person. There's no such thing as personhood. It can fit
on what, like the head of a pin at that side.
This is not going to live outside the womb. But okay, that's semantics. We don't need to get into that. We don't need to get into like science. the real reality. Facts of everything. Yeah. But then you've got a week, but you got 24 hours. You got to go to the doctor. Then you have to come back the next day, and then you can have an abortion. But now, when 6 weeks kicks in, if you don't realize any of this, and now you're 6 weeks pregnant and you are no longer allowed to have an abortion here, the closest place you can go is North Carolina.
North Carolina.
And North Carolina is at 12 weeks. So after that, the closest place you can go is Virginia. So at the very least, or the very most, someone who's living in the southernmost point of Florida, Key West, a woman or girl there, has to drive 14 hours to North Carolina.
Right. Has to potentially miss work.
Who's paying for that?
And money and travel expenses. Who's paying for that? I mean, luckily we have organizations that are currently, really fundraising right now. Even in Broward, there's the Broward Women's Emergency Fund. There's all sorts of organizations that are helping to fund this. But the fact that we even have to do this, that women have to be forced out of the place where they live, from the doctors and the healthcare that they know, to go to some other random place.
By the way,
states away.
Yeah.
It's outrageous.
But here's the other part.
Like, we're prisoners.
But by the way, good luck getting an appointment, because North Carolina is now the place in the South where Florida used to be. Now it's North Carolina. So you know how backed up. Remember how in Naples or in Fort Myers, somewhere in the west coast of Florida, there was a clinic that was so backed up from everybody flooding in that they had weeks out appointments.
What are we doing?
We're in a fucking maternity desert. There's no maternity care. You don't care about the babies when they're born. You don't care if the women get sick or die. So what happened in Texas 2 years ago with their 6-week abortion ban is about to happen here in Florida. We are going to see women,
thousands of women
performing their own. By the way, I'd also like to bring something else to your attention, which I think we're going to see more of. This week I read in the paper that, I'm sorry, trigger warning, dead baby, but they found a infant in a dumpster when they were at the dump. Came out of a garbage can. Not, when I say infant, I mean newborn. Okay? And now they're trying to figure out which garbage can this came from, the baby came from. Because whoever had the baby was forced and had no options. It's unfortunate, but it's also mental illness at that point, right? And I think
scared,
who knows what it was, but it's terrible. And obviously was put in a position where they had no option. And and I think that this will be another thing that we're going to see. We're going to see women who are bleeding out, they're in the middle of a miscarriage, but the doctors, they cannot help them. As long as the baby has a heartbeat, even if you're in the middle of a miscarriage, they cannot help you. They will go into sepsis. They will get toxins in their body and could go into shock and die. women,
And
they're going to be babies thrown in garbage cans. Like that's the reality of Florida now.
Right. And the other thing that I read that doctors are doing in other states to bypass the abortion part, and I can't remember if we talked about it on here or not because, you know, my mind is a sieve most days, but that some doctors for women that are in those scenarios of miscarriage or whatever it might be are doing cesarean sections. Oh. Because it's a way to bypass. Oh. So now, but you're cutting into women.
It's a major surgery.
Like,
that's major surgery.
More complications.
Always
and other
risky.
Things. I mean, but this is what we've come to. I can't understand why people. And there was another article that I haven't read all of yet, but these it's like the Republican women that we talk about all the time, like why they are voting against their own interest, and I can't wrap my brain around it. I can't.
A couple other amendments that will be there's gonna be 6 amendments on the ballot. So of course we're gonna vote yes for abortion, yes for recreational marijuana. Also, there's 4 other ones that I thought were pretty interesting. So the homestead property tax exemption, right now you can get up to $25,000 like exempted on your taxes for your house when you qualify for it, which most people do. They've been trying to inflate that because of inflation. This has been the same for so many decades. They want it to be a higher tax break for people. I'm for that.
I'm for that too, please.
School board elections would no longer be partisan. So apparently it was made nonpartisan on a constitutional amendment in 1998, where the school board, whoever's running, you don't say what party.
Right.
They're trying to change that. They're trying to make it nonpartisan again, which I don't think that it should be. I think it's very obvious, if you're paying attention to your school board, who's a Democrat and who's a Republican. But at this point, school boards are so politicized, especially with like book banning and LGBTQ issues,
in states like Florida,
unions. So yeah, in Florida, I really just don't think that that's a good idea, honestly. Campaign money. So there is a fund, a program, which a part of, I believe it's state funds, and I think it's part of our taxes. Like maybe this percentage of our taxes that we pay into the state with what, I don't know, maybe it's our vehicle registration, something. It's basically a fund where if you're running for office, you can apply. If you're running for a governor or a state cabinet position, you can get that money for free.
Oh.
And so they're trying to repeal that program because it's basically become, it was put into place to stop big money influence. So stop taking money from all of these donors and just if you need extra money, there's this extra money. Well, like DeSantis used everything he could from it. And so they're trying to repeal that program and stop funding campaigns for these motherfuckers. Because believe it or not, we're actually giving money to DeSantis to run for office, you and me. And that's not okay.
Oh, no.
So they're trying to repeal that.
Okay, repeal, because I was like, but it could help people who are like...
That was the thing.
Who don't have... That was probably the intention would be for people... so that it's not just rich people that can run for office, but of course, everything has to be exploited.
Yeah, so they take it.
God, I hate late stage capitalism.
This last one is so funny. It's about fishing and hunting. And the amendment would enshrine...
Is this about bear?
No. The amendment would enshrine a right to fish and hunt in the state constitution. What?
Wait, does that mean that you can hunt? Because right now there are a lot of restrictions on where you can fish and hunt.
Tina, I have no idea.
But who cares?
Like, why?
Yeah, why do we?
Why are you doing this?
I get it, but...
It makes no sense to me. No.
Well, the thing that I don't like about it, just from maybe a conservationist side, is there are probably things in place so that you don't hunt certain sharks at certain time. Like you have to let things go because you could like fuck up the ecosystem or whatever. And is that something that's going to be like, do what you want and like just let people, fuck things up further?
Did you hear Lara Trump's new song?
Oh God!
Wait, I want to play it for you. Lara Trump apparently was always a singer. Like, I don't know, but the girl...
I saw so much stuff on this, like just people dragging her.
Yeah, she did this. She did that song, I Won't Back Down, the Tom Petty song, I Won't Back Down. She sang it for, a cover for her father-in-law. But look at this picture.
Oh God,
girl!
She is that's a poster child of a Republican woman.
Yeah,
that blonde, streaky hair.
Go to YouTube and look up.
Get all that work done. Like, no, you're not. No, ugh.
Girl. Okay, so I'm gonna play this clip for you because, girl.
No.
Listen to that voice.
Don't think, just jump. You can't give up. Know that anything is possible.
When you marry a rich man.
Have faith, believe, just trust. You'll see. Anything is possible.
Okay. This is a woman that...
Anything is possible when you marry a rich man, and then you make
What
your
is this,
face
a gospel
look like-
song?
Girl.
This has to be gospel. She's singing gospel.
And she's upset people are dragging her. Honey, if you came to karaoke, we'd laugh you out the room.
No.
Well, we wouldn't laugh. We'd clap and be
Listen,
like, look at this
yeah,
fucking dumb bitch
yeah.
up here. This is good for you, honey.
Yeah.
Good for you, honey.
I mean, the karaoke space is the space to do something like
Yeah.
this in because you wouldn't be dragged as much. But
Who
who do you think you are to one try to sing some kind of stupid ass gospel
you
song?
released this the same week Beyonce
This
comes
is-
out with songs, bitch. You crazy. You're crazy. You're testing the limits of my patience.
Oh my god! Can you imagine? She's like at the foot of Donald Trump's chair, like
Or
What-
the best part is the person in the studio. Like, remember that movie? Oh, what is that Paul Thomas Anderson movie? Boogie Nights.
Oh, I love
when
Boogie
when
Nights.
Mark
Oh.
when Mark Wahlberg and what's his name go in the studio
Yes,
and they're like
yes.
and then the guy's recording and he's like
Yeah,
like in the studio that Lara Trump's in there. The guy's like, God, what the fuck has happened
he's
in
like,
my life?
but I'll take this fucking
Yeah,
money.
he's like, great, you're
I'll
doing
take
great.
that money.
And then he's coming up to her and he goes, you know what you need in your house? You need a studio. I'm going to help you build it. Let me get some of that.
Oh my god!
You're a star, honey. You're a star.
That's embarrassing.
It's also embarrassing if that's your wife and you have to like keep building her up about that. Like, please.
No, but this is someone that probably thinks it's amazing and that she's hot, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Ew.
There comes a point when you're doing so much plastic surgery that when you start to put makeup on your face, it looks
slides off.
it looks like when you put makeup on a dead person. You know what I mean? Like, it just looks grayish and like her face is just cracked. I don't know what's going on. But it also has to do with the hate that's coming out of your pores. Being married to an awful person. Okay.
Ew.
My last. Do you have any?
The only thing I had was the and I posted about this the other day, but Tennessee is crazy.
Ooh.
So
I saw
Tennessee has passed
Girl.
this anti-abortion video on fetal development that is now required for all kids to watch, and there's no parent opt-out form. So, like, you can't opt your kid out if they're going to a public school. And they're also not allowed to opt out of firearms training.
Right.
What the hell is going on?
Tennessee's fucking wild.
What the hell? I mean, what is going on? There is no way in the world I would allow that. I mean...
Well, we knew this was coming. When they started to arm teachers,
yeah,
we knew that this was next.
Well, and that was passed.
Right.
In, I forget where. I think, was it Tennessee? It was another state.
You can arm teachers here. You can arm non-police officer admin people in high schools in Florida. And schools in Florida.
Schools in Florida.
But that'll be the next thing.
Yeah.
Now that they're armed this session, they're safe to, if they've passed all their things, they can carry guns to school, these kids. Because kids with guns and students with guns, that's never been a problem, right?
I don't know what.
Never been an issue in a school.
I don't know what is.
They literally had a shooting a year and a half ago there.
It's crazy. And then the fact that, like, even in our Broward schools that we're going to have chaplains
Girl.
allowed to be guidance counselors. And I'm going to tell you right now, if any one of these chaplains show up anywhere where my children are, I'm going to demand that they have absolutely zero contact.
By the way,
with my children, because I don't need your religious guidance.
And they're also
in my child's life.
But they're also not background checked in the way that they need to be.
No.
Like they're not, there's no sort of guidelines of like who is inappropriate. And I don't mean background check like pedophile, but I mean like, who are they? What are they teaching? There's nothing.
I mean, to be a guidance counselor, you typically have to have like a master's degree. There's a lot of like psychology. There's a lot that you have to do. And just because you're a clergyman or some kind of preacher doesn't mean that you have any skills to understand what is going on with a child, and how can a kid feel safe even coming and talking to you
Let me tell
if
you
your
something.
moral fucking line doesn't align with like issues that they may need to talk about.
And also,
Get the hell out of here.
what I think is the most fucked up about this is this. They're human beings. Just because they're like clergymen doesn't mean that they're bright. Doesn't mean that they have good advice. And I have literally sat in at least 3, maybe 4, conversations and meetings and counseling with clergymen of the Catholic Church who gave us the worst advice I've ever heard in my life, where my jaw was like, what? What are you saying? What's your advice?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nay.
Like, literally, I can name all 4 of them. 3, I can name 3 of them right now. Just the worst advice I've ever heard. And I walk out of there thinking, they've never even been as far as I know, been in a relationship. Never been a parent. But I'm going to take advice from what? Where's your guidance? This is get the fuck out of here.
Get out.
There's no fucking way. My last thing before I have 2 other things, but I guess I can wait till the other ones till the end. But, listen, I love Chef Jose Andres and that World Central Kitchen.
Oh, God.
And when I tell you I give them money, I love them. I love this man.
No, this was terrible.
And
This was terrible.
he and his organization fly into war zones, environmental disasters, hurricanes, wherever there is need. This
They're
man
feeding
and his
people.
team are there. And I mean, it's incredible the work. I listened to a few months ago. I listened to an interview with him on Mark Maron. His whole life is incredible. Like, and raised in Spain, I believe, and raised Catholic, and talked a lot about his Catholic faith and a lot about how the food and his family and what that meant to open the doors and to nourish people and what that means,
I'm getting
and how
goosebumps.
it influenced this. I mean, this was a world-class, world-renowned chef who still has restaurants, but has put all of his focus into this sort of humanitarian work, and has brought along volunteers who go into these zones.
Right.
And by
it's
the
like
way,
Doctors Without Borders, folks. You know,
absolutely.
that, like, go into these areas.
Yeah.
And they don't have to.
And you have
And
to have,
imagine if you don't have people that
Right.
do this work.
and you have to have there's rules that you have to follow and that everybody's aware of. It's not a game. They put their logos on the top of their cars and vans, because very big logos. So you know that when they're looking at you with a drone, that this is not to be bombed.
No.
There are
They're
humanitarian workers here.
civilians. These are civilians.
And there was three of these vans, and the first one, they were getting bombed. The first one got almost hit. They had to get out of that one and run to the next one. Then that one almost got hit. They got out of that one and ran to the next one. And then they bombed the third one and killed 7 people. The IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, killed all 7 people. In very clearly marked, and Chef Jose Andres has come out and said, it is clear that they were targeted. And there's flags that say, like, this is against war. This is a war crime.
Right.
This is a fucking war
Because there's
crime.
the rules of war, right? I mean, you think it's crazy, but there are, from the beginning, there's rules of war, rules of engagement, right? Like the
Humanitarian
rules of engagement.
aid works
And-
are off limits. And so what has happened? World Central Kitchen has turned around ships that will no longer be bringing food there. They have to stop their efforts in Gaza because they can't put anybody else's life at risk. So now more people
are going to starve to death.
and by the way, they're also bringing medicine and aid in that way.
These are civilians.
I'm extremely disappointed in President Biden and his reaction. He said he's had a phone call with Netanyahu and he said, this was unacceptable. Sir, what's unacceptable is saying that to him on the phone and then turning around and sending him weapons and more money, which is what you did. You sold them planes. You sold them weapons.
What are
No,
we doing?
I'm sorry. It's a laughable joke to do something like that. And now today I saw on Twitter that there's a letter that outlines everything that happened, and it's signed and given to President Biden, and it's signed by people like Nancy Pelosi asking for a full ceasefire. And I saw the defense minister on MSNBC, and he was being grilled by Morning Joe. I don't know the fuck. And anyway, he was saying, like, Morning Joe was like, what the fuck, blah, 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 blah. And the guy was holding up a laminated picture of, like, these are the hostages that are still missing. I'm sorry. I don't know how you square there are 150 hostages still missing with how you are moving through Palestine. That makes no sense. Make that make sense to me. Make those things make sense, because they don't make sense to me. You are bombing with it in my eyes as a layperson without restraint. You are moving through this country in a way that makes it clear that, and you've said your messaging on Israeli TV, that there is a mission here. There is a goal. And I don't know, I got to tell you, the world is going to look back at this moment and it's going to be very clear who was on the right side of history here. And right now, our president is not. And a lot of people that are in leadership are not. John Fetterman, I'm sorry. But he said there's always rules of engagement except for Israel. Like, I'm sorry, that's not true. And it's not anti-Semitic to say ceasefire. And when you try to throw around anti-Semitism, or you try to use the sympathy that the world has had for the Jewish people and for Israel for a long, long time, you're weaponizing our sympathy for your country, and that's not okay. Because we don't get to turn a blind eye to war crimes and innocent people dying. Period. And you had the sympathy of everyone in the world on October 7th, and 2 weeks later. But when it has continued for 4 months, there's no right reason on God's green earth that this should still be going on. And there is zero reason why the United States has not stepped in to stop this. And I know Bernie Sanders was on a podcast I listened to yesterday. It was incredible. And he said they are working day and night to get the Biden administration to do something else, which is stop with the money. Stop. Because it's not okay. And I say that with peace and love. But if this was any other country doing this, we would have already been there. We went to Ukraine. We got money in Ukraine because Russia invaded. What are we doing?
We haven't done anything there.
It's very disappointing. Sorry, I can't stand it. And we don't say anything when it's Palestinians. And another thing the defense minister said was every single person in Palestine wants the fall of Israel. That's true. That's true. But they didn't. I don't. If they're part of Hamas, and that Hamas is a terrorist organization which needs to be taken down, hands down.
Hamas has to go.
Yeah, everybody agrees with that. At the same time, I don't know why I have to read about a mother losing her twins or her family, or like an entire family being wiped out.
Everybody who's under Hamas, it doesn't mean that they are following Hamas. Like they're this terrorist group. Like, and then what do they have? They have Hamas or they have Israel. Like, what do they have? Where's the other option, and how are they supposed to fight up against that when you have this whole other country against them too? Yeah, there's no way. It's too complicated. It's very complicated, but at the same time, it's also very clear. I mean, at this point, it's been months. I was asking 2 weeks later, how much longer is this going to happen? Right. I literally asked that on the podcast. Well, all right, it's been 2 weeks, so what are we doing? And then they entered the country, and now here we are, 6 months later. 6 months. I'm appalled. I'm absolutely appalled by it. And I hope that not another innocent person, Palestinian or otherwise, humanitarian aid worker, dies here, which is a risk. They know the risk, but they also are under some sort of real protections. He thinks that Chef Andre thinks they were targeted because he does put out, I don't know if you follow him on Twitter, but he does put tweets out that are like, please Netanyahu, please Biden, please. Maybe. And and he thinks that they were offended by him being so active on there. One of them was a dual citizenship, American-Canadian dual citizenship. Yeah. So, does anybody give a shit? No. Does anybody fucking care? It's fucking nuts. It's nuts. Nobody cares. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do this, girl.
Today, I'm going to tell you the story of former Kentucky Lieutenant Governor Henry Denhardt.
Okay.
Henry Denhardt was a prominent figure in Kentucky politics and found himself entangled in a murder investigation. But as the trial reached its conclusion, Denhardt faced a shocking twist of fate when revenge caught up to him. Ooh, I got some intrigue. Revenge. I like it. I like revenge. All right.
best served cold.
Yes. Wait, what does Tony Soprano say? He's like, he says something wrong. He's like, revenge is like cold cuts or something. And she's like, no, I think you mean it's a dish served cold.
Yeah.
He's like, what'd I say?
Yeah.
So stupid.
Yes, that was an earthquake yesterday in New York, and all the memes on Twitter were like, "Did Ginny Sack go walking?" Ginny Sack go walking through New Jersey or New York? How do you know Ginny Sack's in New York? There's a fucking earthquake. Oh my god, that Ginny Sack.
That would be.
By
a
the
rough
way,
joke.
how fucking funny is it that a joke like that turned
That's
that
sick.
whole series? Because Johnny
so
never
good.
forgot, right? Johnny Sack never
man,
forgot that joke about his wife.
No. Well, and that was all Polly.
Was it a 5-pound mole? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
A 6-pound mole? Something. Ginny Sack's ass.
Oh my god.
Oh god, girl.
All right, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, so our story takes place in Kentucky from around 1936 to 1937.
Home state of my friend Josh. What's up, Josh?
Hi.
Keep Kentucky weird, honey.
Yes. So from what I could find, Denhardt was born in Bowling Green, Kentucky in 1876. And I don't have much on his past, except I found this News 40 article that noted he went to Cumberland University and earned a law degree. In 1915, he was a Warren County judge executive, and he served as a brigadier general in the U.S. Army.
Oh, shit.
And he fought in the Spanish-American War, and
my
he also
God.
fought in World War I.
Oh, this is old-timey.
Yeah, and he came home as a decorated officer for his work. After returning from the war, he continued to be involved in politics, and he held office of lieutenant governor from 1923 to 1927. So this happens like after his stint as governor, but he's still very well known and prominent because of like all of his political work. So he retires, and he ends up living on this farm in Shelbyville, Kentucky in 1935.
That sounds beautiful.
So
Shelbyville.
yeah, Shelbyville. And there he is, away from the hustle and bustle of life. And
she's writing it.
the thing that I read about this guy, and this was from another News NBC 40 article, it noted that Denhardt was a bit of a brute and he had a drinking problem. So he was an alcoholic. And he was also known to like carry a weapon and boss folks around and just intimidate people.
Yeah.
And again, he was like this former lieutenant governor, and he was this brigadier general, so he kind of walked around like he is like the shit,
I don't think I'm attracted to a brute, but if a brute side like comes out because they're defending you or something,
I mean, that's hot.
That's hot.
That's kind of hot.
Oh, if somebody, what's this guy doing? I'm gonna punch him. I'm here for it. Violence in my defense.
Ooh,
You're gonna get fucked tonight. That's what's happening.
Hi.
Did you punch somebody?
Oh my god.
Then like you're running for your life, like Bonnie and Clyde. Let's get to the car. Like, oh god, it's so hot. The whole thing. I'm writing. See, I'm also a writer, Tina, but I'm a perverted filth writer.
Listen,
like I write filth.
Listen, people will. Where's the website? People will read that. I forget what it's called.
OnlyFans?
No. Oh no, I'm thinking of what is it when people write like fan fiction? Yeah, it's like a Bonnie and Clyde fan fiction.
Ooh, I love it.
All right, so during his time living on the farm, he meets this debutante, this Southern belle and widow.
Oh.
And her name was Verna Garr Taylor.
Okay.
And she was about 20 years younger than him.
Ooh.
But he's about 59 at the time, and she's about 39. So like they're older.
Yeah,
and it's not like,
perfect.
she's not some like teenager.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's better. You know what I mean? Like
you never know.
it doesn't feel as creepy in a May December when it's two like grown adults versus someone who is like a 30-year-old dude.
Agreed.
And because then there's like the power manipulation.
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, they get engaged shortly after. And when talking about Verna Denhardt, he said, she asked how I was, and I said I was all right, except that I was lonely. She laughed and she said she was pretty lonely too. So I said, we lonesome people ought to get together. But things go south for the couple.
Oh no! When he says get together, he means my lonely penis wants to meet your lonely vagina.
So from what I read, it seemed like everyone liked Verna. And in several articles, she's referred to as, quote, the most beautiful woman in 2 counties.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So when she's mysteriously found, shot to death.
Get the fuck out!
In the middle of the night. people freak out.
Now I am picturing a beautiful ghost
So
floating around now.
there is a bit
You know
of
what
a
I
ghost.
mean?
There is like a bit of a ghosty thing that happens later in the story.
I'm seeing a whole she's this most
like
stunning
the
woman.
lady in white kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So specifically, she was shot in the heart, and it was Denhardt's gun.
Girl.
So immediately, this former lieutenant governor is accused of her murder, and supposedly, according to a New York Times article at the time, Denhardt learned that he was indicted for the crime while he was having a drink at a bar and allegedly said, quote, "Oh, they have? Well, see my attorneys," and then just kept sipping his beer.
Bitch, don't you care about this woman? He doesn't care?
So during the trial, Denhardt supposedly claimed that Verna was depressed and wanted to do
Oh.
a double suicide.
Okay.
But Denhardt claimed he didn't want to, and she left upset and wound up dead. So the suggestion is that it's self-inflicted.
This makes sense to me.
But
Uh-oh. I'm already on his
no,
side.
the evidence suggests otherwise.
Ugh.
So he claims, this is his story,
Yeah.
that they were driving in the car and that she left a car to go find her glove, which was somehow somewhere down the road.
Oh, this is so
And
hot.
then she accidentally shoots herself, or she deliberately shoots herself. And then he claims that it was because she was upset that he was breaking things off with her. So he's like, we were in the car, I was dumping her, she got to go find her glove, and then she shoots herself. So Verna's daughters, though, they're like, no. He was the one upset because she was breaking things off with him.
Oh.
And so they're like, no, he's got it twisted and he's manipulating the information.
Oh, shit.
And then during the trial, the coroner, because I guess at the time, like the coroner was like, even now, like they're involved in like investigating, like looking at the evidence of the body and whatnot.
Right.
D.L. Ricketts said that her daughters were willing to testify that, quote, the general had threatened her several times when she tried to break off their affair. The Taylor daughters will say that the general told their mother, quote, if you don't marry me, you won't marry anyone.
Oh, shit.
So 2 people heard 2 gunshots. And when they tested their hands, so there was like a mechanic and a farm, they're in this rural area.
Yeah.
And they hear 2 shots.
Right, which I would think would be distinct.
Right? Or but you would think if it was your self-inflicted, it would be the 1 shot, right? But you hear 2 gunshots, right? So they hear 2 gunshots, and when they test the hands, Verna's hands showed no evidence of having shot the gun.
Come on, all right,
And
this is
Denhardt's hands did show evidence of recently shooting a gun.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Goodbye.
So the case goes
over.
to trial.
Case over.
No.
Tina!
Results in a hung jury. So a hung jury, we know that means that the jurors cannot come to some sort of unanimous decision. And most of the time, it leads to a new trial. And it depends, right? Because they go, do we want to retry this? Are we going to get another hung jury? Or do we think that we can get a win? So in this case, they think we can definitely take this back to trial. So now we're going to move into another little major incident here.
What?
So allegedly, Verna's brothers were so pissed off about this hung jury, and they didn't want to risk this other trial where Denhardt could be acquitted.
Tina.
So they decide to take matters into their own hands, and the night before that second trial, they shoot Denhardt to death.
Tina.
They shoot him 7 times.
Didn't we do this story?
Did we do this? I looked this
very
up.
familiar.
I looked it up.
The brother? That's a thing. Wait a minute.
I looked on our list.
Are you sure?
Yes. Oh my god.
Because this sounds very... Unless there was another story that you did.
I mean, I looked and looked. Oh my god, if it's on here.
I think we did. The brothers thing sounds familiar.
Not there. No, it's not on here. Oh, but I think there's stories. I'm sure that there's other incidents.
God, I swear, it
my
sounds
god,
so familiar.
I was like,
The brothers thing is the thing.
Yeah. There was someone else that we've covered a story where a brother did something too.
Yeah.
But this is 3 brothers. So 3 brothers catch him outside of court and they shoot him 7 times.
Holy shit.
So now they're charged. So according to Sam Terry's Kentucky History blog, the 3 brothers are charged with murder. But after their trial, they're acquitted due to lack of evidence. And the defense stated that the brothers were actually in fear for their lives because they thought Denhardt was drawing a weapon from his pocket. And remember, he's always walking around with a gun.
That's all you need to do.
And that's all you
need.
need.
In fear of my life.
So,
unless you're a woman, then you go to jail anyway.
So on the brothers, one of the brothers was Roygar, and Roygar's lawyer told the jury, quote, "He shot a mad dog. I say he had a right to. Send that man, Roygar, back home to his sick wife and old mother, and the sun will shine bright again in my old Kentucky home. It isn't a shame that Kentuckians are quick on the draw. It's an honor sometimes."
Ooh.
So they're like, bye-bye, Henry Denhardt.
Oh my gosh.
So there's not much aftermath, but there was a ballad that was written about it. I can't find who the original author was, and I looked everywhere, but it was, one of the lines was, "The Gar boys was a-waitin'. They was out to shoot to kill. Death and General Denhardt had a date." Like that was like...
Oh my gosh.
But it's a whole song. That was one little part. And then I need to point out... So some points of interest.
Yeah.
I found another article that suggested that Verna wasn't Denhardt's only victim. And they say that maybe he was a serial killer, or maybe like he definitely was involved with one other death. And so the article was again from NBC 40, and it explained that there was a young girl named Patricia Wilson who was known as like this party girl. And supposedly, she was arguing with Denhardt, and they were at this hotel, and she's arguing with him, and then she's found at the bottom of the hotel's elevator shaft. Witnesses claim to have seen her wearing a blue dress shortly before her death, and he was charged with her murder as well, but like he got away with it. Like they basically think like he just pushed her down the elevator shaft.
Holy shit!
So Patricia, here's the ghosty part.
Oh yeah.
Is still talked about today, and many people believe that her ghost is still haunting that hotel.
Yeah.
Guests have claimed to have seen a pretty young girl in a blue dress who enters the elevators, and she's called the Lady in Blue. And it's like several people walked up going, "Hey, what are you doing? Don't walk there." And then she walks in, and when they look in, like nobody's there.
No.
That's the story of the murder of a murdering politician, Henry Denhardt.
It's so good, Tina.
No, little like weird.
I'm telling you, we did a story where brothers came back and did something.
No. I think we did.
I wonder what that is. But two things. One, when I went to New Orleans to visit, I don't know what that was, maybe 6 years ago, I was looking at like Airbnbs or like bed and breakfasts, like the Garden District, like a cute little place to stay. And one after the other was like, I look at reviews that people leave, and it was like, I was falling asleep for a nap and something grabbed my leg.
Oh,
like they're known to be haunted, and I was like,
no.
where's the best brand new hotel? Because I'm not staying in a fucking ghost town. I'm not fucking doing it. No, I believe in that. And when we went on a ghost tour, walking around New Orleans at night, tour, one of the most haunted hotels in America is in Chicago. I'll look up the name of it, but it's right on that Michigan Avenue. I think it's the Hotel Roosevelt. It looks fucking haunted.
Oh,
okay.
See, that creeps
but
me out.
The second one is in New Orleans, and they talk when you stop in front of it. They tell you the different things that have happened there. No, I'm sorry, no. But I wanted to tell you about a new show that I'm watching or that I finished. It's called Homicide, New York.
Oh,
it's a documentary.
I started watching
It's
that.
so fucking good.
I started
But
watching
when you talked about how the coroner is involved in the investigation, it reminds me of this medical examiner. Her name's Barbara Butcher, who was like this longtime City of New York medical examiner, and she's throughout every episode, and she's so fucking good. And this is a good show.
I started watching.
The cases are crazy.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I think I saw the first one. The show that I want to see.
Wait. Before I finish, there's a detective Mooney, I think it's Rob Mooney, who's on the show, who's a deadhead. And it made me think of you.
Oh, I saw. Yes.
And he talked about how being a part of that community made him more sympathetic to everyone, like how loving and caring and kind it is. And at one point he wanted to testify, and he was wearing a pin with the skull and the
steal your face.
Yeah, with the lightning bolt on it. And the guy's like, you can't. The prosecutor's like, please, you can't. He's like, I'm either testifying with the pin or I'm not testifying. And he's like, okay, good, fine. Yeah. But how he wears it every time it's incredible. But it made me think about you.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. So there is a new show that I'm dying to see because I loved the books and the movies. The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Oh, Ripley!
It's called Ripley.
With Andrew Scott.
I love so much. I haven't even started watching it yet because
it's supposed to be very good.
Amazing.
I know.
And then
that came out yesterday.
I finished Better Call Saul.
Oh.
Girl,
Yeah.
Better Call Saul is a fucking love story. That's what it is.
Oh.
This whole series is a love story. That's what it is.
This Kim that you keep talking about.
It is.
She had tears in her eyes?
I almost cried.
Yeah, you got tears in your eyes.
I fucking oh my god, like it's crazy. These two are so horrible for each other, and the whole time I'm like, oh my god, like I didn't realize like it's a love story.
Wow.
It's like, you know, this guy's corrupt, and yes, there's all this other shit, but at the root of it, it is this beautiful fucking love story. It's so good.
See, I
it's
gotta watch
crazy. I am like,
it.
I can't even believe the ending. Like, oh, I was like, what am I gonna do now that Saul's in? But I was like, oh, there's Ripley. I can start.
Yeah. Ripley's supposed to be good.
I'm too emotional this week. I've had, as you know, it's just been one of those weeks.
Oh. Well, I went and saw Rocky Horror Picture Show live again. I went with Justin and Simon, and Justin, Justin is a huge Rocky Horror Picture Show fan, but he has never seen it live. And here's the crazy part. Like, I first watched Rocky Horror Picture Show when I was 15 years old. Justin saw it like 5 years ago. And so we get there, and in true Broward County fashion, when you go to a Rocky Horror Picture Show, if you're a virgin, you have to go first time. So you have to go up. So Simon and Justin went up to the front, and they were in the line.
Oh, how cute
and
is this?
It's a new cast, and this guy like gives them a little spank with a paddle if you're new. And so Justin gets up there, and the guy's like, "Is your name Justin?" And Justin's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'm so and so." I forgot the guy's name. From Hollywood Hills High School. And Justin's like, "Yes." And they had gone to school together.
That is
How
so
fucking
cute.
funny is that? But it's so Broward everywhere you go. And then Simon got spanked, which and so the show's going on, and I'm like, this guy looks one of the guys in the show who was like the best one in the show, I'm like, he looks really familiar. Like, I know this face. This is crazy. And I started to realize that he looks like the brother of one of my daughter's friends. And so, like an older brother. And so after the show, they all lined up, you say goodbye to them. And I said, "Are you so-and-so? Do you have a sister named so-and-so?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I was like, my daughter's friends with your sister. And he's like, "I don't know any of my sister's friends," because he's like 5 years older than her. And I was like, "Okay, bye." Yeah. And then, first of all, then this girl who was next to him in the show, who was also good, she played Janet. She goes, "Is this your mom?" Yo, girl. Yo, honey, we don't need this. We don't need woman-on-woman violence. Okay? We don't need that. I looked at the look I gave her. I was like, "What did you say? Mother, I have a 20-something-year-old kid. Get the fuck out of here." I was like, "Girl."
I mean, if you had a baby super young.
No. I don't want to look like I had a baby. By the way, I looked really fucking cute that night. Like,
You adorable.
I'm sorry, but the look I gave her, I was like, "What did you just say?"
Woman violence.
Yeah, we don't need this. He said his mother. I go, "What did you say?" Thank God they pulled me out of there, because I was like, "You're gonna need new Janet next week, bitch, because I'm gonna fuck this bitch up." I'm just kidding. I was floating, honey. I was floating. I had the best fucking time. Let me tell you something about Rocky Horror Picture Show, because then I'm listening to the music all week. The best music, and then like one song after the other. Justin is singing.
Aww.
I'm singing. We had the best fucking time,
It
and
sounds
Justin
so
and I were
fun.
laughing the whole time. It was so good. I'm so happy that he went, and it just was.
I gotta go. Once my summertime life
Girl,
happens.
You would have so much fucking fun.
I can't wait.
And they're yelling things out, and
I
it's
haven't
just
been
so fucking funny.
It's been like 20 something years since I've done a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
There's a part,
and I did it at the Gateway.
Yeah. And it's a new cast. I guess the old cast is doing it at Savar Cinema. You know that one in Fort Lauderdale? Yeah, they're doing it there. They're a good cast too. But there's a part in there where they say something about, it's freedom, everyone in the world has freedom. And then somebody yells out, "Not in the state of Florida." Unless you live in Florida.
Oh my God.
It's so good.
It's
and
beautiful.
This is the last time I went, people didn't really interact as much as they did this time. But there's like a part where it's raining and you squirt these water guns, and then they give you a piece of, you gotta buy the survival pack, and you get a piece of newspaper to keep over your head. But they were just like, everybody was into it. They were throwing the popcorn. They were doing the rain. We all stood up to do the time warp. And I'm driving home at 2:30 in the morning, like, so excited.
And
it's
happy.
so much fun.
I love that.
Oh my God, it's the
That makes
best.
me happy.
And my son said to me last night, because we were listening to the music, I was like, isn't this so good? And he was like, when can I go? And I was like, oh, God, I can't. Probably 18. I don't know when I can take you to this. It's so good, though.
Wouldn't it be fun to just bring it to all the kids?
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
Anyway,
all right, well.
that's the week.
Yep.
We'll see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.